Hey, everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What is shaking tonight? Let me tell you about Michael Nesmith. Some people call him Mike Nesmith. I didn't know him that well, although I did have a brush with greatness with Mike Nesmith and a long history of enjoying him. You might think that he was just in the Monkees, legendary rock band and TV series band. But you would be wrong, and I'm going to tell you why, including some information that'll please one of the people in our chat room right now. Team Brittany is here. Well, I'll get to that in a second. Please like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, whether you're watching live or on demand. That helps us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-knowing algorithm. Also, we do have super chats, we do have memberships, and we do have the ever-loving PayPal, where you give the most and I get the most. All of that stuff is either in the begging bar, which we'll put up right now, or it's in the description if you want to do YouTube, because that's instantaneous. And Google don't get none of it. Also, if you'd like some merchandise, I think my merchandise store today only, is 50% off orders over $100. And just in time for the holiday season. And also, it's 30% off if you don't go over $100. So that's in the description as well. There you go. All the business has been taken care of. We have comments. I'd like to get to them because that's what you deserve. Oh, by the way, tomorrow night, viewer requested from Doopadoopadoo, we will cover the 10 worst smells. That's what we do around here. Wednesday is the history of the microphone. That's this guy. And then on Thursday, we are covering a baffling, long-time unsolved mystery out of Missouri, the Springfield 3. There we go. Team Brittany. Oh, she's a moderator on a gigantic show, which I think is streaming right now. She says, hey, we're the Monkees. And, of course, people say we monkey around. Michael Gardner here. He asks if the Monkees were a complete fabrication, not wanting to spoil the magic. And that's very kind. I will get to that. The answer is yes and no, I would say, personally. It's complicated. I say, good to see you, Mr. Gardner, because I'm polite that way. And we do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet. He says, please, my father's Mr. Gardner. Call me late for supper. You got it. Terry Nee is here. And something Terry Nee has asked for will play a key determining factor in the life of Michael Nesmith. Chef is in the house. Yes, he's a real chef at a fancy restaurant in Indianapolis. Fancy. They got cloth napkins. And whenever I go there, I like to tuck them into the front. Anyway, Terry Nee actually knew Mr. Microphone. And I know this because one time he said to me, hey, good looking, I'll be back to pick you up later. Jared is here. He says, hey, we're the Gullies. People say we gully around. We do. Anyway, why don't we get to it? Why don't we get down to cases? This, of course, is Mr. Michael Nesmith. And, of course, as always, StreamYard returning me to a composition. This is my gesture for composition. The composition that I didn't have earlier, but that is Michael Nesmith. You may remember him from the Monkees. I've got plenty of other pictures of the Monkees. Anyway, but really way more than that, and we'll get into it. But it's just the tip of the iceberg was the Monkees. It's what he's best known for, but there's a lot of other things. Jared said he was my favorite Monkee by far. Well, before we get into it, I guess, and this is getting into it, when I was like 4 and 5 years old, I was the oldest of a brood of children. And this is when we lived in Midland, Michigan. And right next door to us was a kid my age, my best friend. And he was much younger than his brother and sister. They were in high school. He was in kindergarten, okay? And his sister had all of these really cool records. My parents listened to Frankie Lane and, Dean Martin and things like that. Their family and their sister especially listened to Ray Stevens, who I interviewed on my podcast at the TomGulleyShow.com, and lots of, Sugar Sugar by the Archies and pop music, right? And she had albums by the Monkees. Now, keep in mind, the Monkees had been on television, and they ran those on Saturday mornings, and all of us loved watching the Monkees because they were funny and all that other stuff. The music was, even for a kid, was kind of fun. And so my best friend and me and another friend of ours and my next youngest brother used to go out on their front porch, which was a front porch that had a lot of steps and was flat at the top. So you were way off the street, and it was like a stage. And my mom made me a cutout guitar from an old refrigerator delivery cardboard box, and we all played the Monkees songs and pretended like we were playing them. I was always Mike because I had one of those hats. So I liked this guy from a very, very early age. And I'll tell you my brush with greatness of Michael Nesmith. Yeah. Terry Nee says, my favorite Monkee was Bonzo. You mean From Bedtime for Bonzo, the Ronald Reagan picture? We all have our friends. So Michael Nesmith, obviously known for the Monkees and the TV series. But what you don't probably know is even before I guess I'll cover this chronologically, because there's a lot of Easter eggs here. There's a lot of things that you don't know about this fella until the short bus came to pick you guys up. We walked to school, man. Boom! Burn. That was a sick burn. We were tethered, but we walked to school. So Michael Nesmith was born way back in 1942 in Houston. He's a Texas boy, and he was an only child. That's going to be important in a second, okay? His dad, Warren, and then his mother, Betty Nesmith. And they divorced when he was 4 years old. Following the divorce, Betty Graham, raised Michael Nesmith as a single mother, okay? And she took jobs that were mostly clerical, did a little design work, but mostly clerical. But she eventually got to the position of executive secretary at Texas Bank and Trust. And while there, you must remember this was in the days of the typewriter. And if you made a mistake on a large document with a typewriter, a whole typed sheet of paper, you didn't want to type it over, there was this fluid, commonly referred to as whiteout, that people would paint over the word in question, let it dry, and they could type over it then. The real name was liquid paper. Betty Graham, Michael Nesmith's mother, invented liquid paper. Now, that may not sound like much to you folks today, but at the time, it was huge. Originally, she started out mixing this stuff up in her own home and trying different formulas and little bottles, filling up and selling them and sending them to distributors. And then she started a company. And then over 25 years, she built the Liquid Paper Corporation into an international company, which she sold to a tiny little outfit called Gillette in 1979. Tragically, she died at the age of 56 in 1980. And I only mention that because it's going to be really important later. He went to Thomas Jefferson High School in Dallas. He was in the chorus. He did drama. He left high school without graduating because This fella, Michael Nesmith here, you know, he joined the United States Air Force. Bet you didn't know that. He completed basic training at Lackland Air Force Base down in San Antonio, and he was an aircraft mechanic in Wichita Falls. He was permanently stationed at Clinton Sherman Air Force Base near Burns Flat, Oklahoma. He obtained a General Educational Development Certificate and was honorably discharged in 1962. Now, after he was in the Air Force, his mom, the big shot at Liquid Paper, and his stepfather gave him a guitar for Christmas. So he's not much older than 20 or 21, learning as he went. He starts playing these solo gigs, works in a lot of bands, and does folk and country, some rock and roll. He was not opposed to rock and roll. Won a talent show at San Antonio College, and he began to write more and more and more and more songs and perform them. He then moves to Los Angeles, and again, this may not sound like a big deal to some of you, but he served as the hoot master for the Monday Night Hootenandy at the Troubadour, which was a legendary music venue in West Hollywood that featured new artists. And he was the head guy there. So he's meeting people like crazy. He gets a group called the New Christy Minstrels, which was a big group at the time. The New Christy Minstrels, This Land Is Your Land. I mean, they did a ton of songs. Anyway, they offered him a publishing deal for his songs. All right. So he's now selling his songs. He's making it. He starts recording in 1963 with releasing one single, right? He starts releasing more singles himself, But then a guy named Barry Friedman tells him about upcoming audition for a new TV series called The Monkees. Well, in October of 1965, he goes in there and he doesn't care whether he's going to get the job at all. This is a guy that's already performing in Los Angeles. He's already writing songs that people are buying, right? So he goes in there and is just, I don't really care. And that laid back, who cares attitude really impressed the producers. And so he gets the role of Mike, which actually required real life musical talent for writing, instrument playing, singing, and performing in live concerts. They were going to have the Monkees perform in live concerts. So anyway, he wrote a famous song called Mary Mary, which was recorded by the Butterfield Blues Band and then by the Monkees themselves on their second album. Run DMC also covered this song in the mid-'80s. But he wrote a song that was later a big hit for Linda Ronstadt. She was with the band at the time called the Stone Ponies. It's a song you've heard, okay? Now keep in mind, writing these songs and giving them to somebody that makes them a big hit, that makes you some money. Oh, yeah. And the song is called Different Drum. You might know it better, There we go. Let me put another song up here, another thing up here. Let me give you the promo photo for the Monkees. There you go. There they are. That song, Different Drum. You and I travel to the beat of a different drum. Oh, can't you tell just by the way I run? That song, big, big hit. Some of his other songs were also recorded by the Stone Ponies. He wrote a song that was recorded by the aforementioned Frankie Lane, who was kind of a country star. And basically, he's starting to get popular and very successful as a songwriter. And this is prior to at the start of the Monkees. He wrote some songs that were made popular by the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band as well. Now, from 1965 to early 1970, we all know, you can see him there on the screen, right? Mickey Dolenz. Well, I'll do them in order, left to right. Let's get him back up there for a second. Davy Jones on the far left. Mickey Dolenz, who's still with us today. Peter Tork and Mike Nesmith were the Monkees on television, right? And that group was created for television. So in a sense, they were a fabrication. But in another sense, they've hired Michael Nesmith, who can not only play, but he can write songs, right? By the way, Michael Nesmith actually rode his motorcycle into the audition and wore that hat to keep the hair out of his eyes. And they said, the wool hat thing's working for us. Let's just do it. Anyway, once he was cast, Screen Gems bought his songs so they could be used in the show. And many of the songs that he wrote for the Monkees, I could tell you the names, but they became minor hits. Okay? Now, even before, there was a problem with the Monkees. And that was the people that sort of owned the Monkees and produced the show. They went out and to their credit, they hired some of the best songwriters out there. Boyce and Hart, Carole King, Neil Diamond, to write songs for the Monkees. But there were people in the Monkees that didn't really want them to be writing the songs if they weren't going to get to write and produce their own music. And Michael Nesmith was the very front of that train. Okay? The second album of the Monkees, called More of the Monkees, was released without these guys' knowledge or participation whatsoever. They knew nothing about it. It's just all of a sudden out there, okay? And they were frustrated because, remember, this is the late 60s. This is the hippie movement. This is the bursting of crazy rock and roll, and this is Woodstock and all of that. And they were frustrated by the bubblegum image they had and the bubblegum music, some of which I really love. You know, Last Train to Clarksville, I'm a Believer, even Valerie. I mean, there's some great songs there. Oh, it's my belief that Pleasant Valley Sunday is the very first punk rock song. The local rock group down the street is trying hard to learn this song. It serenades the evening squire who's just rolled out to mow his lawn. Another Pleasant Valley Sunday. Charcoal burning everywhere. Anyway. So within weeks of the release of More of the Monkees, Michael Nesmith gets the creators of the group and says, we need to be allowed to play instruments on future records, and we need to put our songs on future records. And these two guys, Bob Rafelson and Bert Schneider, said, okay. Now, the problem was, if you remember Don Kirshner's rock concert, Don Kirshner was the musical supervisor for the Monkees, and their record label called Cold Gems. And Don Kirshner and their lawyer, they didn't want any part of that. They were selling huge numbers of records with this bubblegum sound, right? And so they had this big meeting at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Each of the Monkees received a royalties check, each of them, not to split, for $250,000, which is the equivalent of well over $1 million today. And despite that, here's your check, Mr. Nesmith. Thank you. I'm quitting. And the lawyer that was there said, you better read your contract. And legendarily, Mike Nesmith punched a hole in the wall of the Beverly Hills Hotel and turned to the lawyer and said, that could have been your face. expletive having to do with a mother. Now, weeks later, due to a breach of verbal agreement over the next singles release, which was promised to Mike Nesmith by those two guys, Raffleson and Schneider, Mike Nesmith led the charge. They got rid of Don Kirshner, effectively giving these four guys you see on the screen right now total, complete artistic and production control of what they were doing. And they finally worked as a true four-man rock group on 1967's Headquarters, despite Davy Jones, there in the middle, the pretty boy from England, and Michael Dolenz in the very back having very limited instrumental skills. Peter Tork on the left, he was a talented musician. It's interesting also that Mickey Dolenz, not Michael Dolenz, Mickey Dolenz, he's the guy that sings most of the Monkees hits. But he wasn't the great, and it was a child actor, by the way, but he wasn't a great musician at the time. He subsequently became one. So anyway, during the band's first independent press conference, Michael Nesmith referred to More of the Monkees as probably the worst record in the history of the world. And at that time, because of the split, it was announced that the four members of the Monkees, who people had thought played the instruments and did everything because of the TV show, they hadn't played all the instruments on the albums and they hadn't written the songs, but they continued selling records, right? As a matter of fact, Headquarters reached #1 on the Billboard charts. The thing that knocked it off was Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles, in no slouch. And be that as it may, Headquarters remained #2 in the nation throughout the entire Summer of Love in 1962. Yeah. So after that, the Monkees themselves, who had really no problem with some of the things that the great songwriters were doing, they probably created half of the songs. And Michael Nesmith did the lion's share of those. However, Michael Nesmith at this point began withholding some of his better songs because he had plans for a career after the Monkees, which we'll get to in a second. Michael Nesmith's last contractual obligation to the Monkees was a commercial for Kool-Aid and Nerf balls in 1970. Yes. The band's sales had started to decline, and Michael Nesmith says, "Release me from my contract." He had 3 years left at $150,000 a year, which is $1.16 million in 2022. And he said, "I don't care." That caused, for 10 years, he was in a tremendous financial bind until, sadly, in 1980, Betty Graham, his mother, died. Now, remember, Michael Nesmith was an only child, and he received his inheritance from his mother's estate, which was millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, okay? And in a 1980 interview in Playboy magazine, he said, "I had to start telling tales to the tax man while they were putting tags on the furniture." He was in bad shape till he got that inheritance. Yeah. Let me get to some of your quotes here, some of your comments. Sorry. I've been just yakking away. By the way, like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, super chats, memberships. PayPal. We love the PayPal. You give the most, I get the most. Google gets nothing. Anyway, let's see here. Gilman is here. Says, hey, Gullerinos. Hey, Gilman. Jared's here. He said Gully walked to school uphill both ways in 4 feet of snow. It was Midland, Michigan. So, yes, that's true. Chef says, whenever I hear Bonzo, I think of John Bonham. Jared likes John Bonham. let's see here. I remember my mom telling me about the whiteout thing. Yeah, a lot of people know about it. Groundbreaking. Chef says, when I was out in California, I went to the Troubadour once. Oh, yeah, the Troubadour. Big, famous club. When I lived, that's a double. Did the minstrels bleed once monthly? No, I don't think they did. I hope they didn't. Mary, Mary, why you buggin'? Rum DMC. Well, I think that Mary, Mary, why you buggin' is also from Jesus Christ Superstar as well. Gilman up with the $1.99 super sticker. Gosh, dog it, Gilman. Thank you so much. And I see here where it says he's gone. Doggone it, Gilman. I'll thank you the next time you're in here, lavishly. Go Birds. Does Philadelphia play tonight, I'm assuming? Let's see here. I'm going to get to this, and we'll just cover it real fast because there's many, many, many other things to cover with Michael Nesmith. Michael Nesmith did not participate in the Monkees' 20-year reunion. There were contractual obligations that forbid him to do that, but he did do an encore with the three other Monkees in 1986. He joined them again in a Christmas special in 86. In 89, he reunited with all the other Monkees. And we'll get to why he holds the Monkees at kind of arm's length for various reasons. Let's put the Monkees in a car, shall we? Who can't get enough of the Monkees in a car? Did I already show this one? I got a bunch of pictures of the Monkees here. Let me show you. There's a lot of pictures. I'll put that up there. So he reunites with them again in 1989. In 1995, he reunited with the Monkees to record their studio album, and the first to feature all four since Head, which is kind of the soundtrack to a majorly wacky, incredible film, I think produced by Jack Nicholson, that the Monkees did way back in 1968. You need to see that movie. Terry Garr's in it, some people that were just getting their start. It's a crazy acid trip of a movie. It's called Head. Check it out. He wrote and directed a Monkees reunion special, Hey, Hey, It's the Monkees, in 1996. So, he wasn't totally anti-Monkey. To support that reunion, he went on a big tour in 2012 to 2014 after Davy Jones's death. He reunited with the other two members and did concerts all over the U.S. He, had that tour performing 27 songs from the Monkees' discography, And by the way, Daydream Believer was always sung by the audience, There's a 50th anniversary album that was done in 2016 that he contributed to and actually wrote a song for it. So he didn't really tour with Mickey Dolenz and Peter Tork for the majority of that 50th anniversary reunion tour, but he did show up to a number of the shows. And then he performed with Mickey Dolenz together in 2018 on a tour called The Monkees Present the Mike and Mickey Show. And, so he did a lot of other Monkee stuff. And there was a big tour that they had that was delayed by COVID. The final date that the Monkees ever played in any form was November 14th, 2021 at the Greek Theater in Los Angeles. Now, let's get to the other important stuff here. This is important stuff. Michael Nesmith, as he prepared for his exit from the Monkees, a buddy of his named John London, who had started out with him before he was even part of the Monkees, and who had played on his early non-Monkees 45s, his single releases, wanted to put together a band. And Nesmith said, well, I'll do it if this really famous steel pedal player can join us. Orville Red Rhodes, a legendary dude. Now, the band was called Michael Nesmith and the First National Band, which you can see in front of you. And this band, to this day, is considered a pioneer of what we call country rock music. That was Michael Nesmith's idea. And I'm going to tell you that Michael Nesmith had a lot of really good, groundbreaking, ahead of his time ideas. And this is one of them. That Eagles sound, that country fried rock sound. He was a big proponent of that and known as one of the trailblazers of it. So he had a single off of this album that you see in front of us. And by the way, this art style, I'm not going to show you all the other First National Band or what became the Second National Band. They all looked kind of like this. They had the same design style. And he did have a single that was very popular on this particular album and hit number 21 on the Billboard charts called Joanne. Her name was Joanne, and she lived in a meadow by a pond. I can't sing that. Anyway, he followed up the First National stuff with the Second National Band, and that was just with a few new additions to the band and some different formulations. Their first album was called Tantamount to Treason, Volume 1. And then he recorded And the Hits Just Keep On Coming. And that was an album that featured only him on guitar and Red Rose on pedal steel. So at this point, he becomes heavily involved in producing. Okay? And he was given a label of his own on Elektra Records and got to pick the artists, right? And the staff band at Countryside helped Nesmith on his next and last RCA album called Pretty Much Your Standard Ranch Stash. I love all the names of his stuff. You know, he collaborated with other songwriters during the 70s that resulted in hits for people like Lynn Anderson, a big country star. He recorded some of the songs himself. But then, and this is key, he started his own multimedia company called Pacific Arts. And originally, they only put out audio records, 8-track tapes, and cassettes, okay? But in 1981, they started doing a little thing called video records. And Mike Nesmith recorded a number of LPs for that label and had a moderate worldwide international hit with his song Rio, which I'll get to in a second. Chef's got to leave us. He says, good night, everybody. Just say good night, Gracie. Good night, Gracie. And then he also did another single that was popular called Cruisin', which you might know as Lucy and Ramona and Sunset Sam. You can see these videos today. They were in very heavy rotation on Video Jukebox on HBO, okay? And internationally, they did very well. He produced the music video for the Lionel Richie single All Night Long. He also produced the music video for Michael Jackson's single, The Way You Make Me Feel. And the reason for that was Michael Nesmith was a guy, because of his time with the Monkees, that saw the benefit of making videos combined with music videos. And he was the first guy that kind of said, I'm going to do these independent of a show or anything else. And so that is why, during that time, he created a video clip for Rio. And that caused him to create a television program for Nickelodeon called Pop Clips. In 1980, Pop Clips was sold to Time Warner, and Time Warner developed Pop Clips into the MTV network. Mike Nesmith actually created MTV. Leon Kennedy is here. You hear his songs at the start and the ending of every show. They're all bangers. Just popping in to say hi. I owe him an email back. But Leon Kennedy, all praise and bow and adoration of Leon Kennedy. Playing another one at the end of the show. It's going to be awesome. Thanks for showing up, Leon. I appreciate it. Michael Nesmith won the first Grammy ever presented for long-form music video in 1982 for his hour-long Elephant Parts. Now, you can see Elephant Parts on the Internet Archive. There's some other places. I highly recommend that you watch Elephant Parts. It's got those two great videos, Rio and Lucy and Ramona and Sunset Sam. Really great stuff. Okay. Now, Elephant Parts, because it won the Grammy, spawned a rather short-lived TV series called Michael Nesmith in Television Parts. Television Parts included many artists that got their start that were not known at the time but are known to you today. Their names are Jay Leno, Jerry Seinfeld, Gary Shandling, Whoopi Goldberg, Arsenio Hall. And one of the things they did was took those artists and had them do a stand-up routine that they then turned into a film, a comedy film, like the ones in Elephant Parts. He got some of the best comedy writers in the business, one of which is named Jack Handy, who's just really funny. And there you go. Now, his company, Pacific Arts, right? They became a pioneer in the home video market. And they produced and they distributed a huge amount of videotape programs. Although they quit doing that. And the reason that they did, they had a contract with PBS to produce and distribute PBS things like Ken Burns' The Civil War. And they were like, you're supposed to be giving us licensing rights, payments, things like that for these things. And it was a big dispute, lawsuit, LA. In February of 1999, a jury awarded Mike Nesmith and his company, Pacific Arts, $48.75 million in compensatory and punitive damages. And that made Michael Nesmith say, it's like finding your grandmother stealing your stereo. I mean, you're happy to get your stereo back, but it's sad to find out your grandmother's a thief. 6 months after the verdict, the settlement was reached and kept confidential. And then he started a thing called Video Ranch 3D. And that company still exists to this day. And it's a virtual environment on the internet that hosted live performances at various virtual venues inside the ranch. Michael Nesmith himself was one of those people. Michael Nesmith, and many of you may know this, yes, you do owe me an email, Mr. Gulley. See you. I do. I'm sorry I haven't sent that back. Jack Handy, a real person? I was never sure. Yeah, Jack Handy is a real guy. I wasn't sure either, Michael. I totally wasn't sure myself. And yeah, he's a real guy. Here's the thing you might not know. Michael Nesmith was the executive producer for the cult film Repo Man, the cult film Tapeheads, as well as other film projects. In 1998, he published his first novel called The Long Sandy Hair of Neftune Zamora. Yeah, it was originally an online project and then later published as a hardcover book. His second novel, The American Gene, was released as an online download from videoranch.com. In the early 80s, he teamed with legendary satirist P.J. O'Rourke. If you don't know who P.J. O'Rourke, we may do a show on him. Crazy great writer. And those two got together and rode his vehicle, which he called Time Rider, in the annual Baja 1000, off-road race. And P.J. O'Rourke wrote a book about it, right? He was a member of a lot of these crazy organizations. Michael Gardner says, the face of a child says 1,000 things, particularly the mouth part. Okay, let me see here. He was a trustee and president of the Gihan Foundation, hosted this thing called the Council of Ideas. And they would get super smart people from all different fields, and they got together and they did that to identify the most important issues of the day and publish the result. And they eventually disbanded and started a new program for the performing arts. He also spent a decade as a Board of Trustees member, nominating member, and vice chair of the American Film Institute. This guy did everything. I mean, everything. He did some CD and DVD releases of other concerts of his own and other people. He continued to record and release his own music. His final album, Raise, was released in 2006. Let's see here. He did a lot of solo tours. You can see those. I've got some older pictures of Michael Nesmith here. I'll show you. There's a mid-range of Michael Nesmith when he doesn't look this old, when he was touring as a solo artist. I didn't find any pictures of those I could use, but they are out there. There's a great version of Joanne that he did at Austin City Limits, but he kept touring. Now, for those of you who like the TV series Portlandia, he guest starred in season 4, episode 9 as the fictitious role of the father of the mayor of Portland, Oregon. Yes. He released a memoir and companion soundtrack album titled Infinite Tuesday, an autobiographical riff, in 2017. In 2018, he did a 5-date tour of California with a revamped version of the First National Band, including a date at the Troubadour, where he performed before the Monkees back when. It was that Mickey and Mike show thing that they did. Let's see here. Now, his personal life, he was married 3 times and had 4 children. His first wife he met in college, and they had 3 children together, Christian, Jonathan, Jessica. He also had a son in a relationship, a non-married relationship, with a photographer and socialite while he was working on the Monkees. From 1976 to 1988, he was married to his second wife, Catherine Bild, a screenwriter and television producer. In 2000, he married his third wife, Victoria Kennedy. That marriage ended in divorce in 2011, though they may remain super close friends. Now, his second wife is actually listed on the back of Elephant Parts here as the producer of Elephant Parts, and I think they remained good friends as well. Now, when he got that divorce in 2011, I naturally, because it's what I do, I was a follower of his Facebook page. And as you might have picked up throughout all this, Michael Nesmith was ahead of the curve on everything. So he was online before people were online. He was not a guy that didn't maintain his Facebook page. So he posted his very eloquent and sort of morose, sad feelings about his ending of his marriage, and thanked her for all of the love and the good times they had shared. And I posted, if 1/1000th of the joy you have brought to the world comes back to you, you're going to be fine. And he responded to me. He actually wrote me a response. And, Julie Newmar, Michael Nesmith. I do good with celebrities that have an N at the start of their last name. And so that was a big one. There's my brush with greatness with Michael Nesmith. He did, by the way, when the Monkees series ended, enroll in the UCLA, where he studied American history and music theory. Yeah, there you go. Now, he was forced to cancel the last 4 dates of his tour with Mickey Dolenz due to a minor health scare. He underwent quadruple bypass surgery and was in the hospital for a month. But Michael Nesmith, sadly, died of heart failure at his home in Carmel Valley, California. Carmel Valley, I suppose they call it. On December 10th, 2021, at the age of 78, less than a month after his final performance. And his family said in a statement, "With infinite love, we announce that Michael Nesmith has passed away this morning in his home, surrounded by family, peacefully, and of natural causes." And there we are. Mickey Dolenz, the last surviving member of the Monkees, memorialized Nesmith as a dear friend and partner. I could go through all of his discography. It'd take me a half an hour. We could talk about television and all the things he did there, the films he appeared in. By the way, I'm going to tell you, Head, you got to see that movie by the Monkees. Let's see. Head, the Monkees, streaming free online. Let's see if we can find that sucker streaming free online. No, it's on, well, it is on YouTube. And I think I see a non-paid version of it here. In fact, I know I do. But the others require subscription, YouTube TV and Fubo TV. You got to see that movie. It is, it's out there. So his home video, elephant parts. He did the half-an-hour comedy release for Steve Martin, which is called An Evening with Sir William Martin. Rio and Cruisin', the television parts home companion, Dr. Duck's super secret all-purpose sauce, Nez music, just all of this stuff. All of the stuff that he did. It's just, he was very prolific, very, very visionary man. So there you are. That is it. That's all I got to tell you about a one-of-a-kind American original, Mike Nesmith. And there are, plenty of people that really, really, really loved his work. Please like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. This little show is, we're just a drop in the ocean of the internet, but we kind of like to think that maybe someday we can interest people in these obscure subjects. Like tomorrow's subject, requested by our frequent viewer, Doopadoopadoo, called Bad Smells. Yes, this show stinks. Tomorrow we'll prove it. Anyway, that's what we got for you. Who have I got in the chat? Anybody got something to say? Anybody want to get froggy? The link is up at the top of the page if you'd like to be on the show. You don't have to put your camera on. You can just talk to me with your mouth. You can do it audio only. It's been done before. Trust me. I'm sure it'll be done again. Quite certain. Got to get ready for the end of this show. I think we're going to do The Man from Gulley, which is a banger of a tune. It's a banger. 11 minutes left. Tomorrow night, Bad Smells. Wednesday night, The History of the Microphone. And then on Thursday, we've got baffling, still to this day unsolved mystery of the Springfield 3 murders. 3 women disappear from Springfield, Missouri, never to be seen again. Michael Gardner says, disgusting. Well, it was a viewer request. I don't know. Maybe they were just double dog daring me, but that's what I do. You double dog dare me to do a topic. Why do you think we got the topics on the jock strap and the toenail clippers and the, some of these topics? I'll do a show for you. Brian Clowder says, interesting. Good to see Brian Clowder. He is all over the internets. He is bad. He's nationwide. Yeah. As ZZ Top would say, 'cause he's bad, he's nationwide. Elephant Parts. See it. It's on Internet Archive and other places. And the documentary Head. It's not what you think. I know you want to make it dirty. I'm not going to let you make it dirty. It's a movie by the Monkees that is absolutely, it's on acid. The movie's on acid. Jack Nicholson produced it. And so check it out. It's out there. It's way out there. I think the Beatles were doing movies at the time that were crazy and zany, and they went, hold my beer. Because it is really, it is stream of consciousness weird. And good. It's not bad. It's, what it is. So, anyway, that's what we got. That's what we got coming up. And, as always, if you have any suggestions, let me know, because I'll do it. I hope Terry Nee was happy with the whiteout mention. The mention of whiteout. Hope that made him happy. Next week, I can tell you, we will be doing 3 of the topics. We've got one left. We will be doing Marfan's disease, hypnosis, and a show that I'm flinching to think about doing, but that is the tragic demise of a girl named Sylvia Lycan in Indianapolis, and the torture. Oh, you don't even want to know. You're going to flinch during that show. They'll be flinching. Lots and lots of flinching. Well, I had one other thing I was going to talk about. The heck was it? Oh, it was a side topic about some haters I ran into this weekend. Do Marfan's syndrome? Well, I think is the syndrome different than the disease? I'm doing the disease. Oh, there we go. Yes, you got your wish. You asked me. I said I'd do it. It's actually way more interesting than it sounds. It's a disease that will just absolutely delight you to learn about. As do they all. How much time we got left? Yeah, we got another 5 minutes. I open this stream every show. And this weekend, I ran into some haters in various backwaters, probably more accurate, of the internet. Tough guys, And I said, hey, I got this stream open every show. Every single show. Every show. And, yeah. Michael Garner says, I said that before you said that. Well, maybe today. I said it a long time ago. I said that ages ago is when I said it. All right. Speak now, or I'm a huge Mar fan, are you? You got long fingers? Great at piano? Marfan's disease, long finger. Anyway, let's see here. Any of you knuckleheads got anything to say? Or because do it now or forever hold your peace, because that old clock on the wall says it's time for me to make like the Reverend Al Green and get on up out of here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So I guess the only thing left to say is, till next time. Hold on. Did I rewind this? Oh, I better do that. Well, I'm not going to play it anyway, so. Till next time. Hold on. Let me get this thing proper. There we go. Boom. Well, I want the big logo. There we go. Till next time. Like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. Super chats, memberships, PayPal, where you give the most and I get the most, and you Google don't get nothing. And it's all down in the description of this show. 30% off right now in our Cafe Press store. Till next time, we'll see you next time.
Tom Gulley's got the upper hand. Ooh, yeah. He's got style, got brains, got a podcast too. Dropping truth bombs, he's coming for you. Evil puppets think they can play, but the man from Gulley don't sway. He's sharp as a tack, clever and sly. When he's in the zone, they can't deny. He's the man. He'll outsmart the devil verse every day. The man from Gulley. Say what? Taking down those puppets in his funky way. He's got moves like a Motown king.